Good afternoon. We're here at the reunion of the family of Umberto and Josefa Tempongko in Santa Rosa, California on 8 August 2015. And I'm very happy to have here with me my aunts and the daughters of Lolo Berting and Lola Paching, Mabel Papawashit, Delia Magpayo, Naida Arevalo, and Umberto Tempongko Jr. himself. And these are the surviving children of the Umberto Tempongko branch of the Felipe Tempongko and the Ocada family. And I'm very happy also to be able to show here the Tempongko Montes Heritage Book, which the family so lovingly assembled. And I think this is such an important document because it shows us all the past pictures as well as some present ones of the Tempongko Montes family. And I think there's a very nice quotation at the beginning of this book, which I should like to read out. In every conceivable manner, the family is linked to our past, bridged our future, by Alex Haley, if you remember, wrote the book Proofs. And I'd like the members of the family perhaps to hold this book, and we shall in time talk a bit about our ancestors, and maybe they can tell us some little anecdotes that they remember of our Lolo Piping, who is here pictured as a fencer, and of Lola Cadia in one of the reunions, together with Lolo Piping again in his uniform as a son. So maybe Tito Mabel is now one of the two senior members of the Tempongko family, the other one being my Tita Vilma Tempongko Alcantara, who is now in Paco, Manila. So thank you very much, Tita Mabel. Perhaps you could talk about one or two of the pictures that we have here. Do you remember this one or the other picture where the family is assembled at their house in Pulong Mayaman?
Remember this one?
Yes. And I think that in this picture, we still don't have Tita Naida, Tita Delia, and Tito Carling and Tito June because they hadn't been born yet. So what year would you say this picture
Probably
dates from?
1933, since my mom is pregnant and I'm about to probably to be born.
Yes.
Because there is Nene and Aurora Alcantara, who was almost the same year as I am, and she's just a baby here.
Yes. So this is a few months before you yourself
Yes.
were born. And I think that I interviewed Tita Bill in her Papo house, and she told us a bit about Pulong Mayaman, which is where the place of Lola Cadia and Lola Puping was located. Especially Tita Mabel, I'd like to ask, do you still remember a few things about either the house or about your grandparents, Lola Cadia and Lola Puping?
Well, I did really live with Lola Cadia and Lola Piping. I live in Scaraga, 1861.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think that fact was plumped up by Tita Delia just a bit earlier at this family reunion while we were having lunch. I should say that I wish we could go through every detail of this book, and I hope someday it will be made available to the other members of the clan who might wish to eventually purchase or have their own copy of this. But well, this is among others. We have the picture of Lola Paching and Lola Berting at their wedding, and then here's a Christmas picture of the Tempongko clan. Do you remember those Christmases, Tita Naida, perhaps? Yes.
we
Can you
were,
speak a little louder for the
Okay.
camera? Thank you.
they just woke us up. I think it's about midnight, and every children were asleep. So they woke the children up. We went to for the picture taking, and then so we are seated over here. There's Lola Kadia, Lola Puping, and this is me. I was about to do something. I guess I was about to,
Picking her nose.
to pick my nose. And this is Delia. You could see she's still very sleepy.
You were just woken up from your
For my
sleep on
yeah.
Noche Buena.
Noche Buena, yes.
Yes.
That's Christmas time.
What do you remember of Noche Buena?
Oh, on Noche Buena, there's in the house, all the kids are gathered in one long,
Christmas Day?
no, one
Table?
long table.
Even
All the kids are there.
That's here.
Oh, it's over here.
Yes, over here.
The grown-ups is in one table, and the other kids are all in one table. Mabel can say more about the is this it?
She's volunteering you to say something. She's the shy
Yes.
one. But remember, Tita Delia was an actress.
Yes.
You know, so maybe later on we will plumb her memory. Because I think, for the purposes of this documentary, they would be talking about Lola Kada and Lolo Piping because they were the babies or the children in this picture. But maybe later on we'll talk about with Tita Delia and Tito June about the Christmases in Cesara de la Paz's house because that was the continuation. And by that time you would have had memories already, just as I do have memories too. Let's just look quickly at this. This is so nice because we have Tita Ofelia and her daughters Myra and Olga are with us this afternoon, and the camera girl is Candice, who is the daughter of Myra. And we have here Tita Mabel, so beautifully attired and with her graduation picture. This is Ophelia, I'm sorry, this is Ophelia's page. This is Mabel. Yeah. And Ophelia was also my mom Erlinda's best friend because their ages were nearly the same. Whereas Tita Mabel and Tita Vin were also practically the same age. We turn to the page of Tita Diana, at whose wedding I was the ring bearer. And Tita Diana and Tita Mabel had a double wedding. You know,
Diana is a doctor.
Tita Diana is a doctor from UST. And we have her children also represented at this reunion. Now we have Tita Naida here with three beautiful pictures from her childhood, as well as I believe her high school graduation picture and her current photo, which shows that she's never aged.
60.
She never
60th
aged, you know.
birthday.
She still looks young. It's a trait of the Tempongkos. Now we have Tita Delia, the actress, Ulilang Angel, which my Tita Nene took me to see when it was just new in the movies. And I hope to have a sample. There.
And her movie name was Delia Marcos.
Delia Marcos.
His screen name.
Her screen name was Delia Marcos. But Tito Eddie was too jealous, so he didn't want to allow her to continue with the film acting career. So now we have Tito Carling, who was, as I remember, a very good dancer. He always partnered with Carol Schultz at the Christmas reunions in the De La Paz house. Unfortunately, he has also passed on. He's also the father of Michelle Jones, who is now based in Australia. Then we have no less than the
Junior of the
Junior, who could have been an actor too, but he chose not to. Instead, he worked in Las Vegas, in MGM. If I'm not sure.
Extra. He was an extra.
He did play in the movies as an extra.
He was an extra in your movie.
And I got paid 50 pesos.
And maybe I could bring this picture closer to the camera because it shows the siblings. You know, I think that is one of their photos when they were still together. It's a very beautiful photo. Yeah? So, tell us more about your family life. How did it feel growing up in such a large family? Maybe Tita Delia.
Being the fifth girl in my family, I was spoiled. Then 7 years after, we had my mom gave birth to our two brothers, which is the name was Carlos Tempongko and Umberto Tempongko Jr. So, should I say?
Well, maybe Umberto Tempongko Jr. can carry on.
Yeah.
In between them was Carling, and of course Umberto was the youngest, and was christened Junior by his parents. Maybe you could share with us either your memories of your parents.
Yeah. Oh, I have wonderful parents, my mom and dad. And the mama's
Could you
boy in
speak
the
a little
family.
louder, please?
Oh, the mama's boy in the family. And being the youngest in the family is not easy because you have 5 sisters and a brother. Imagine that. I always get the leftovers. And then I'm so lucky because I was blessed with 5 sisters who always use me as a chaperone. I love it because everybody, the suitors, I always get the, you know what, the guy when they go on a date.
Lagay means a bride.
A bride, that's what I'm saying.
So as not to tell what happened during that evening.
And I'm also, being the youngest, the troublesome in the family. I always get in trouble, and my sisters covers up. Isn't that great?
So tell us a bit about where you lived. I think you lived in Ascaraga, in Macopa, and Palalos Street.
61
That's
is
it.
Canada.
Ascaraga is now Claro and Recto. in Manila. Who remembers a bit about that place?
Well, we were still living there during when the Japanese came over to the Philippines and invaded us. That is 1942, I think.
41.
41 was it.
And then
Americans
41, they bombed the Santo Domingo Church. And then 42, they came, January. You're correct. From 42, they came into Manila. And they occupied the Philippines for about 4 years. Well, actually,
And I was born
1945.
during the liberation,
Ah, what was?
1946.
Ah, okay.
That is a liberation.
Philippines was already independent on July 4.
But in Ascaraga, when the Japanese were there, my dad opened a coffee shop where some of the Japanese, I guess, soldiers, on the way to bringing the Americans to the concentration camp, they just passed over, and my dad feed them with coffee and whatever food they have. So that's it.
Well, I think you indicated that your house was burned during the liberation of Manila. But that you yourselves did not suffer personal damage, unlike those of the family that were in the south, like Lola Cade and Lol Piping, my grandparents, whose houses were actually destroyed, and they had to keep on moving before they could cross to the north. Right? I do also remember visiting your house in Escaraga, and you had a bookshop.
Yes.
You had a text,
we were renting it.
After it was rebuilt again.
Yeah,
you had a bookshop
Yes.
with
With the
books for
Bashador.
students.
The Bashador, the one who sharpens knives, is half of the front.
Don't you think one of the legacies of your parents was education? Because all of you went to college and
all
had,
of us went through even Japanese time. We were in school.
yeah.
Just the kids, just the two of us.
Yeah,
The elder
because
ones were helping in the shop,
Yeah.
the coffee shop.
Yeah, my father built a coffee shop, so we will have some kind of sustenance.
Well, going back, when we were in Escaraga, anyway, Our school is just in front of our house.
What school was that?
It's a National Teachers College.
Yes.
But so before we go across the street, we wait for the bell, and then with the bells, that's the time we go in.
How nice to live so close to your
Yes.
school.
Yeah.
And you can even probably go home for lunch.
Should be.
Yes. And what about your mother? She must have been busy taking care of so many children.
Well, my mother was working with the singer sewing machine. He has been there. She has been there for 35 years.
Oh, okay. The other thing I noticed from this book is that you actually had a grandfather who's very Spanish. You know, he's Montes, and he looks extremely Spanish in this picture. Maybe I should take it up close so that they could see it. Yes? Okay. So I think
he died 31 years old.
he was only 31 when he passed away. But inter alia, that accounts for the good looks on both sides of the family because you have Chinese, French, Spanish, and Malayan, of course. And your mother is very beautiful in this picture too. Is this your
That's my
grandmother?
grandmother.
Your
my
grandmother.
grandmother.
But this is your mother.
That's her.
And that's my mother and father.
This is your mother?
No, this
no,
is
that one.
this one.
Ah, okay. Okay. Their names were
This is the same.
Carlos and Gualberta Montes. Were they from Manila or were they from another province in the
No,
Philippines?
we're all in Manila.
You're all from Manila.
We don't have any provinces.
Mm,
We're all born.
I think that Tio or Lolo Fernando had a nickname for your family, and they called you the Pongko Ponteses.
I guess so. I don't remember.
Ophelia has a nickname.
Here's a nickname for everybody.
Yes.
So what were your nicknames according to Lolo
Ophelia
Fernando?
first was
Me is tomboy.
Tomboy.
Ophelia.
Yours is Masingan Kelly.
Oh, Masingan Kelly. That's right.
How about Tita Ophelia?
And Tita Ophelia was called Kembot
Tembo.
because I guess the way she walks. And Tita Jana was called
Peanut.
Peanut. And
Naida.
I was called Machuco. And Tita
Machuco
Delia,
because she looks like
like a Chinese.
Mongolia.
And Tita Delia was called Retaso. Which is they thought she was the
She's the
last one.
leftover or scrap from a
Sorry.
piece of cloth. They didn't know she was still going to be followed by two others. I think even
I was already
my
older.
aunties had nicknames too. No, my mom, Erlinda, had a nickname. I think Bigfoot,
Oh, really?
something like that.
Oh,
and Tita Vilma?
Parang Japanese or Nippongo or something. He had a pet name for everybody, you know, which wasn't always flattering.
What is it that Tempongko means? Kopotium.
That is another interpretation that we don't exactly know whether it was Ko, Potiem, or Tempongko. But the original ancestor came to the Philippines, let's just say in the early 19th century maybe, and then eventually settled there. I would say they became prosperous. They were probably well-to-do in Binondo. They had a house there, and they had they were part of the Filipino-Chinese community, including the Ongpins, because we have relatives who are Ongpins also.
That's why one of the streets in Malate is in pink.
In the main street of Chinatown, Binondo is called Ongpin. So Lolo Piping had sisters and a brother who passed away. He was one of the first graduates, Eduardo, of the University of the Philippines College of Agriculture. Then there were other sisters, including Lola Pitang, who married a Magpayo. We had Lola Metiang, who married Quintos. Lola Tinay, who married ang Pin. Lola Chiang, who married a Makapinlak. Lola Chong, who married Rocco. And those were the sisters. And up to now, we still have Tempongko reunions where the various branches of this clan are represented. Because all Tempongkos are related. So, share us a bit about how you became an actress and why eventually you only did one film. That was with Susan Roses.
Not with one film.
Yeah, this several
Maria
films.
These were several films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What films were those aside from Uli Lang
Ito
Hell?
aking buhay,
Diyosa.
Serena.
Diyosa,
Serena.
huli lang
You know that fish, lady
Yeah,
fish.
a mermaid.
Mermaid.
Jezebel.
Yeah, he knows more of the.
Yeah, because I'm the
sicknesses.
chaperone. I remember all that.
I hope
Every
that
time Delia goes on a shooting or filming, I'm always a chaperone. So once in a while, I get to be in the movie for extras.
did you enjoy your film career?
It was okay. It was hectic because I was still in college. I was going to school, and whenever they can accommodate me, we did the shootings or whatever is necessary for me. It was a good career because I already was in college, but and yet still I was in Tempongko Pictures.
Who recruited you from Sampaguita Pictures?
Vera Perez.
Mr. Vera Perez himself.
Yes, because the Tempongko group is always close to where I was going to school, and so
Make it loud.
well,
Make it loud.
my school people were encouraging me because the Spaghetti Picture people would stop going to my school, which is Far Eastern University. And so I talked to my parents, my sisters, and I said, okay. It was hectic.
Congratulations. Sure, your family was very proud of you. Now, I think we also would like to go into why your branch of the family is now generally in the United States, right? How did this happen that you migrated to the United States?
Under the-
Make it loud.
Make it louder.
All right.
Speak like a Tempongko.
Well, the first ones who really approached American embassy was my sister Frelia and other sister Diana. They went there and picked, what do you call this? Applied for a
Visa?
Yeah. So when I heard that they applied for visa at that time, I told them, how come you didn't tell me? So the next day I went there and applied myself. That is for professionals. They were accepting for professionals only.
But you see, Tita Diana was a doctor,
Yes,
and you're an accountant.
and my elder sister Ophelia is a dentist.
Dentist.
And the husband is a dentist too.
Yeah.
The husband of Diana is architect. So
Highly qualified.
yes.
The Philippines loss is America's gain.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying that Tita Delia was already here because her husband was with the Navy.
Actually, she is the one who petitioned for all of us.
Ah. And this was easy, no? What year was that?
1959 was when I got married to Eduardo Mercado.
Yes.
And from then on, I was encouraging my sisters and my parents and my brothers to come and migrate because they had all their college degrees and other stuff that they can they can get a job and have good pay instead of just staying in the Philippines. I'm not saying that we never liked the Philippines because this was a good opportunity for them to come and make better money. And the Philippines wasn't thriving very well also, so we decided to come. And we all lived here. They bought houses here. They got jobs here. I did a good job.
Congratulations again. And how about Tita Naida? Do share with us some of the early years of being here in the U.S. and what you did, for example. Did you remember that?
When I first came over, I lived with Ophelia, who's my oldest sister. And I stayed with her. Then I got a job in Cigna Hospital, working as a claim adjuster. Then my children followed me. Then June, were you here?
And June and then Carlos.
Yes, June and Carlos came over. And everybody was here.
And, but I was just with the family of Lolo Carlos Tempongko, the daughter Esther and her brother Alfred. And with me were Olga and Myra. And they were saying that in the beginning they stayed first with Lola Loleng, Dolores Correa, then later had their own house across the street. So also Lola or Tia Esther, it was a bridge, no? Because Lolo Carlin had migrated early to the United States in the 20s. But he unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident in 1941. However, the Tempongko family still kept in touch with Dolores Correa. So that it was normal or natural that Tita Ofelia and her family would contact them when they first migrated to the United States. So generally, did you stay in two areas, one of them Los Angeles and the other in San Francisco?
Well, when I first joined my husband, we married in 1959. What else? I forget.
I thought you went to Hawaii first or Tokyo?
Japan.
Japan.
Sasebo.
Japan was where I first joined him as a middleman. And we stayed there for a couple of years. I had my first son there. And then we migrated in California. And from then on, I had my children.
Well, I also believe that we had relatives in Japan. I think Choben Flores also served in Okinawa. And maybe Tempongkos have also been good travelers because your own father, Umberto Sr., had a passport that was rather as big as a piece of paper.
Yes.
And he traveled early and went to the United States. No? And as we said, Lolo Curling migrated maybe in the 20s. And then we had uncles, I think the children of Lolo Fernando were musicians in Hong Kong, were they not?
Right.
So we've been very good travelers and we still continue with that tradition. So
With my husband, I first joined my husband in Japan when we first got married, and then like a U.S. Navy man, they are transported
to different
to
places.
different places, wherever. And he is in accounting. He was dispersing. He worked in dispersing office.
How did you find being a Navy wife and raising your children in different places? Did you miss your family from back
Yes,
home?
yes. We would go home once in a while whenever my husband gets his leave
Mm-hmm.
and visit with my sisters and brothers.
Yes.
And I had my first son there.
May I show you your part of this? Tell us about what's here. This is the Magpayo page with Tita Delle and Tito Eduardo.
This is my first son, Edwin, and This is
My second son,
my
Michael.
second son,
Michael.
Michael Anthony. And then I had Edward Joseph, all born in the United States. And then we were stationed in Japan for 2 years. And I adopted a baby girl there, but she lived very long. So I lost her. And then
Passed away together with our dad, right?
that's about.
Then Grace came.
And then I had
I
my
adopted. You adopted
Anna.
Anna.
after we came back to the United States, I adopted Anna Marie Nagpayo. And next to Anna, I had Grace Marie for my very own daughter, which I was totally happy having another daughter. And I have been so far away from my sisters and brothers that I miss them so much. And I was always asking my husband, when can we visit? And whenever I leave on vacation, we would go home to the Philippines just to visit my parents and my sisters and brothers. I had a good life.
You've
My
been blessed.
husband,
You've been
I
blessed.
had a good husband and I had beautiful, God-fearing children.
How about the handsome Michael?
Tita Naida, tell us a bit about what's in the pictures here.
Okay. My eldest son is Lester. And then second was Arlene, who has two kids. Mark and Monica.
That's why we need the album.
Yes, right.
And the pressure.
They might forget.
Lester is my eldest.
Second is
Then Arlene,
Arlene, then
and then
Raquel.
Raquel, then Diane, and then my youngest is
Arnel.
Arnel.
Now we will test Berting Jr. if he remembers his children. Would you kindly turn?
Which one? First one?
First, remember the wife
Yeah,
and the
that's
woman.
it. That's it.
Okay.
First woman in his life.
My first wife, I had 3 children.
Yeah.
Alteas, the eldest, and I had a son, Mark Stephen Tempongko, and my youngest was Abigail Tempongko. And I was the first one who migrated in the States, and then I petitioned for them, they came over. Actually, Altea was with me when she came over. And then I had a second wife, and I had 2 children, which is Josephine Tempongko and Emil Tempongko. And I have a third one, I don't know if I have any children with her. Just kidding.
What about Tita Mabel?
You know,
We must give Tita Mabel equal time. Please, tell us a bit more about the start of your family from the double wedding onwards. Yeah?
First, you have to say that our global wedding.
Yes, a wonderful picture. I love this picture because the brides are both wearing the same gown, you know. Isn't it?
This is
And they were wed at the Lourdes Church. I happen to be the ring bearer of Tita Diana.
Okay.
Speak louder.
Okay, I met Charlie during the
she forgot.
no, there was an occasion
Yeah, a
thing.
party.
No, not a party, but different companies was there. Senior
State
sewing
fair?
machine and all
Oh,
that.
yes, it's a
State
fair.
fair.
A fair.
State fair.
State fair. Okay, it's a state fair. We have a sewing machine booth
Yeah.
and,
So,
and there is a tie booth. Okay, and the tie booth, piano was working and Naida, and on the singer sewing machine, I was working there, and that's where I met Charlie on that state fair. Okay,
he proposed.
Is that all?
And he married her.
And was he naughty or were you naughty?
She was
oh no, I'm not naughty.
No, of course not. We know that.
We have sisters who are not.
Only the boys are naughty in the Tempongko family.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But tell us more. What about your children?
Well, I have two children. I have
Far
Kenneth.
apart.
Kenneth and John. Kenneth is 11 years older than John. So they're 11 years apart.
What happened in between?
We wait, but I guess. There's a lot of things that happen, okay?
Okay, okay.
That's personal.
That's what we want to hear.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's how it is anyway.
You were,
Okay.
Where are you working?
You had such cute babies.
Where were you
Where were you
working?
working in the Philippines?
Oh, I was working with the KP Rubber who makes Nike
Adidas.
and
Rubber as in shoes, not the
Yes,
other
rubber
kind.
shoes.
rubber shoes. It's a big company.
Not rubbers, rubber.
And that's it. That's all.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
But you must be very happy. How many grandchildren do you have?
I have 4 grandchildren.
Ah, okay.
2 from Kenneth, a girl, and Kevin and Christina.
Yeah.
And from John is Hunter and Hudson.
Next Kenneth and not John.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's like Tiger Woods. He has a Thai ancestry.
See, that's the 2 of them. on the back.
Yeah, they look very close as brothers, you know. And now they're both without hair.
Now it is.
Bowl.
Unlike Tito June. Okay.
Okay, these are just.
Good. Do you still want to share some other memories for those who are not here, those who have passed on? I mean, because they're not here to talk about themselves, right? We don't have Tito Felia. We no longer have Tito Kerling.
Ophelia was our eldest sister
Yeah,
who had passed away.
yeah,
And then Diana followed.
yeah. Diana and Tito Diana and Tito Manuling went to Alaska.
Yes.
That's quite unusual, no? They did. They lived in Alaska. I was told they lived in Alaska. Is that a just a...
They did live
No
this.
kidding.
Visited.
Ah, they visited Alaska. Well, I'm sure they would have frozen if they lived there, right?
Okay. What? You want to talk about your family?
What about Lola Paching? Tell us more about Lola Paching. And by the way,
Okay, Lola
you are
Paching.
twice related to the family of Tito Etong, Cho Etong, and Tia Chaling.
Yes.
2 brothers married 2 sisters. Yeah.
My father, Umberto, married to Josefa, which is my mother. And then Humberto is the brother of Ernesto. Ernesto married also the sister of my mom, who is Chalin. So it's brother.
Two brothers.
Brothers
and
and
sisters.
sisters. When Ernesto found out that my mother was getting married, so Chachaling and Ernesto eloped.
Hello.
They want
They
to
should
be-
have had a double wedding.
No, they just
Yeah,
eloped.
the
I
same
just
as us.
did. They just eloped.
And we have a similar situation in some ways with Cho Fernando who and your Tony, because they had children by 2 sisters.
Oh yes.
That's right. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh yes.
So we're very proud and happy to be here and to have you as family members. You know, I think there's a Tempongko spirit, which now you have transplanted to the United States, among others. And I'm very happy to have been invited to join this reunion. You know,
We're happy to be
Have you?
you here.
thank you. It brings me back to the happy times when we used to congregate in Samat and Banawe in the De La Paz house, or in Zambales at the De La Paz compound. Yeah. And I hope this won't be the last time I'll be here.
We look forward for you to come back.
Thank you very much, Tita Mabel. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Okay.
Wala naman.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us.
Having us.
Thank you to